That morning, I had just stepped into the hospital when I got a call from the emergency department. An elderly patient almost 80 had just been brought in after a sudden fall at home. It wasn't a car accident. It wasn't a fall down the stairs. It was just. He had woken up, taken a few steps out of his bedroom and collapsed onto the floor. Less than an hour later, I was called in to examine him. As a brain specialist, I've seen many strokes in my career. But this time, something made me pause. No history of stroke. No clear warning signs. Just a morning like any other. And what shocked me wasn't the severity of the damage. It was the moment just before it happened. A very small action. Something familiar. Something countless seniors do every day unconsciously right before their brain is harmed. I didn't make this video to scare you. I just want to share what I witnessed and what I believe could have been prevented. If you're living with aging parents, or if you're someone who starts each morning with the same habit you followed for years, pause for a few minutes. Because this might be something you've never been warned about. I met Mr. Marvin for the first time in the recovery room after a stroke. He was lying still, his eyes still full of confusion. His face was still alert, but his voice was slightly out of rhythm. His wife sat beside him, her hand never leaving his shoulder, her gaze still filled with fear. Mr. Marvin is 78 years old. A healthy, independent man, living with his wife in a suburban area near Seattle. No diabetes. No high blood pressure. Still took walks every afternoon, still drove himself to the supermarket. The family and even his family doctor all said, he's still doing very well. That morning, he woke up like every other day. His wife was still asleep beside him. He didn't feel dizzy, didn't have a headache, nothing unusual. He simply sat up in bed, stood up, took 3 steps then collapsed onto the floor. No cry. No heavy impact. Just a soft sound of falling. And then silence. His wife woke up because she felt no one lying next to her. She saw him lying on his side, eyes open, mouth struggling to move. His right arm was curled, his right leg couldn't move. She called his name, there was no response. Only a heavy breath as if he was trying to speak. But couldn't. Emergency services arrived within 15 minutes. I met him after the MRI had been completed. Diagnosis: cerebellar stroke ischemia due to postural hypotension. Medically, this is not an uncommon situation. But when I heard her recount the story, I went quiet. No prior warning signs. No medical history. Just one very familiar action: sitting up and standing right after opening his eyes. The part of the brain that was damaged controls balance and coordination. That's why he fell with no reflex to catch himself. And because the blood hadn't fully returned to the brain after deep sleep, he lost control in just the first few seconds of the morning. After hearing the whole story, I turned to look at his wife. She said only one sentence, softly and sadly, "I thought it was just a normal morning." Many people ask me, how can just getting out of bed lead to a stroke? How can such a small action cause serious damage to the brain? The answer lies in how our body works, and especially in the difference between a young body and an older body. When you sleep, your whole circulatory system slows down. Blood pressure drops. Heart rate slows. The brain keeps working, but the amount of blood it receives is less than during the day. That's normal. The body is in rest mode, and everything slows to save energy. For younger people, when they wake up and stand up right away, their blood vessels adjust quickly to handle the pressure. Their body reacts fast, the heart pumps harder, the vessels tighten and blood flow to the brain returns almost instantly. But in older adults, that doesn't happen so quickly. The blood vessels of seniors aren't as flexible as before. The nervous reflex that adjusts blood pressure also slows down. The heart takes a few seconds, sometimes half a minute, to increase its pumping power. The neck arteries, those that bring blood to the brain, may be stiff, narrowed, or clogged. So when an older person suddenly sits up and stands right away, their body doesn't have time to adjust the blood flow to the brain. The result is a few seconds of reduced blood to the brain. In a healthy brain, that may just cause lightheadedness. But if the back of the brain, especially the cerebellum, is already slightly damaged, or if there's narrowing in the neck arteries, then that moment of low blood flow might be the final trigger. At that point, the person might feel dizzy, fall, or worse, a part of the brain may become blocked by a clot that fails to clear. And just like that, a stroke begins. No warning sign. No pain to alert you. Just a few early steps. And collapse. And I want you to remember this: when you're young, your brain keeps up with speed. When you are older, your brain needs you to slow down. Slowing down doesn't mean weakness. Slowing down means giving your brain time to get blood. Giving your heart time to catch up. Giving your body time to shift safely from rest to wakefulness. Just a little slowness each morning is the gift you give yourself. A fuller day. A clearer mind. And a safer life. After understanding why an older body responds more slowly in the morning, the next thing I truly hope you'll pay attention to is the quiet signals your brain often sends out without a sound. I call this the silent language of the brain each morning. It doesn't shout. It simply suggests. And if you pay close enough attention, you'll notice it. Here are signs that are very common during the first 15 to 30 minutes after waking up. I sincerely hope everyone over 60 becomes familiar with them, so you can monitor yourself each day. 1. Lightheadedness when sitting up from bed. You open your eyes, turn your body to sit up, and feel your head spin slightly. Not bad enough to grab something for support, but just enough to make you pause for a few seconds. Don't brush it off. Even a mild sensation that happens repeatedly may mean your brain isn't getting enough blood right away. 2. Blurry vision in the first few seconds after opening your eyes. Some describe it like a thin fog covering their vision. Others say the image feels slightly tilted, then returns to normal. This sign is not rare. And if it happens multiple times a week, it's worth noting. 3. Feeling unstable while sitting or taking the first step. You place your feet on the floor, stand up, but feel a slight sway, like you need to pause and find your balance. Some patients have told me, I stood up, then sat back down, I just didn't feel steady. This is a very important signal, especially if you've had poor sleep, dehydration, or any past issues with blood vessels in the brain. 4. Mild headache at the back of the neck, right after waking. Not a sharp pain. Not spreading. Just a dull pressure at the base of your skull, like a gentle weight pressing from behind. If it goes away after a few minutes, it's usually nothing serious. But if it happens every morning, you should make a note of it. 5. A brief feeling of weakness in your hands or legs that returns to normal later. You hold a glass of water but don't feel as steady as usual. Or your hand takes a few seconds to fully grip. You walk a few steps and notice your legs feel slightly slower than normal. If it passes quickly but keeps happening, please don't ignore it. I know maybe you're hearing all this and quietly thinking, I felt that before. But it always goes away. And that is exactly why so many strokes arrive without warning. Because before the brain screams, it whispers. And when we ignore those whispers, we miss the best chance to prevent something bigger. So here's one small thing I'd love you to do after this video. If you've experienced even one of these 5 signs, just one, start writing it down each morning for the next 3 days. You don't need to measure your blood pressure. You don't need any fancy devices. You just need yourself, a pen, and a little attention. Because in the next section, I'll share 3 very common morning habits and how you can gently change them to help your brain start the day more safely. After observing many older patients over the years, I've realized something simple: not everyone suffers a stroke because of something serious, but many people begin a chain of risk from morning habits that seem harmless. If you're still here, listening with me, I want to share with you 3 very common behaviors that many older adults practice every morning and a few small, simple changes that don't take time, but can help protect your brain. 1. Sitting up or getting out of bed immediately after waking up. I know many people have the habit of jumping up the moment they hear their alarm, or right after opening their eyes. They sit up quickly, get out of bed, go brush their teeth, make coffee. Especially those who live alone, they feel the need to be active, quick, and independent. But I want you to picture it this way: your brain has been in deep rest for 6 to 8 hours. Blood flow has slowed down. Your body temperature has dropped. Your blood vessels have narrowed. And then you suddenly sit up. It's like trying to start an old car before warming it up. That's why so many older adults feel dizzy, have blurred vision, or even collapse within the first few steps of the morning. The replacement is very simple: after you open your eyes, don't sit up right away. First, turn to lie on your side and take 3 deep, slow breaths. Then gently roll over and sit up. Stay seated on the bed for 20 to 30 seconds before standing up. Just half a minute and you're giving your brain time to receive proper blood flow again. 2. Drinking coffee or cold water before breakfast. I've heard many older folks say, "Every morning, I drink a glass of cold water to feel awake." Or, "As long as I have my morning coffee, I don't even need breakfast." I'm not against coffee. But I do want to remind you of this: when your stomach is empty, your blood pressure is still low, and you're not fully alert yet, drinking something cold or something that stimulates the heart too strongly can cause your heart to contract harder and your blood vessels to tighten suddenly. That's not ideal for a vascular system that's already aged. Here's the safer option: after sitting up, take a small sip of warm water. Not too much, not hot, just warm enough to gently wake up your stomach and your circulation. Then sit quietly for 1 or 2 minutes to allow your body to fully transition into alertness. You can still enjoy coffee, but let it come after breakfast, when your body has warmed up safely. 3. Rushing to move around or shower while your body is still foggy. I understand that many people have a clear morning routine: wake up, head straight to the bathroom, wash up, get dressed, and start the day. But for older adults, even stepping from the bed to a cold floor can be a small shock to the circulatory system. I've seen patients suffer from sudden drops in blood pressure just because they showered too early on an empty stomach and before they were fully awake. So here's what I want you to do: stretch your arms while still sitting on the bed, reaching up and holding that position for 5 to 10 seconds. Then gently rotate your wrists and ankles, like you're waking up every little blood vessel. Stand up slowly. Don't rush to walk around. And avoid stepping into the bathroom during the first 5 minutes after getting out of bed. This is not just about stroke prevention. It's a way to begin your morning with calm, control, and care. I know you're wise enough to see that this is not about limitation. It's about empowerment. It's a key to keeping your brain healthier each day without medicine, without money, and without needing anyone else. And if you follow these small changes for just 7 days, I believe you'll feel the difference: a clearer mind, a steadier heartbeat, and a body that no longer feels rushed in the morning. In the next part, I'll share with you 2 very different journeys. One person ignored the early signals and paid the price. Another made the right change at the right time and kept their clarity to this day. I used to think that big changes only came from big decisions. But after more than 20 years as a neurologist, I've realized the opposite is true. Some of life's turning points begin with a very small choice on a very ordinary morning. I want to share with you two stories that happened just 3 months apart. Both were elderly patients, both lived in quiet suburban neighborhoods, and yet their outcomes were completely different. The first was Mr. Marvin, the same man I told you about at the beginning of this video. He lived independently. He had never suffered a stroke, never been hospitalized for heart issues. Every morning, he would wake up at 6 a.m., sit up quickly, step out of bed, and make his coffee just like he had done for 10 straight years. Until one morning, as you already know, he collapsed after just 3 steps. The stroke came quietly, but it was enough to take away his balance. From being someone who could walk freely, he now needed a walker. From someone who used to cook for himself, he now needed his wife's help for almost everything. During his first rehabilitation session, he said something to me that left me silent for a long time, all because I didn't sit still for just 30 more seconds each morning. The second was Mrs. Linda, 80 years old, from Portland. She often felt a little dizzy in the morning, sometimes without any clear reason. Her son is a resident physician. When he heard her describe what was happening, he didn't take it lightly. He helped her adjust her routine: don't jump out of bed right away, drink warm water instead of coffee on an empty stomach, and sit quietly for 1 minute before standing up. Mrs. Linda wrote these steps down carefully in her notebook. 3 weeks later, she returned to the hospital for her routine checkup. A nurse asked, "How have you been feeling lately?" She just smiled and said gently, "No more dizziness. And every morning when I wake up, I feel a little more at peace." I saw her again in the hospital hallway. Still the same warm smile, still walking slowly but steady. And she doesn't even know that she had quietly passed by one of the most silent risks of aging just by doing 3 small things every morning. 2 people. 2 mornings that started almost the same way. But one quietly slipped into a stroke, and the other quietly walked past it without even knowing. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this so you can choose. Because every morning you wake up is a chance to live healthier, or to step closer to danger. And only you can decide which direction you'll take. I know that for older adults, the important thing isn't doing more or doing faster. What truly matters is doing just enough, at the right moment, and with steady consistency every day. And if you were to ask me, "Doctor, how should I start my morning to protect my brain?" Here's what I would say: something simple: no medication, no equipment, just you. Make the first 30 seconds after waking up your quiet ritual to slow down. Because those 30 seconds alone can determine your clarity, balance, and safety for the entire day ahead. White check mark emoji, the 30-second morning routine designed for seniors. Step 1, lie on your side, take 3 deep breaths. Right after waking, don't sit up immediately. Instead, turn onto your side, whichever side feels most comfortable. Keep your eyes closed for a few more seconds, then breathe in slowly through your nose, hold for a moment, and exhale gently through your mouth. Repeat 3 times. This helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, calming your heart rate, stabilizing your blood pressure, and gently telling your brain, "I'm ready to wake up." Step 2, gently stretch arms and legs, rotate wrists and ankles. While still lying on your side, raise both arms above your head and stretch out your spine. Then slowly rotate each wrist and ankle in circles 5 times each. You don't need to push hard. Just gentle and steady. These movements stimulate peripheral circulation and prepare your joints to function after a night of stillness. Step 3, sit up slowly, place both feet flat on the floor. Once your body is lightly warmed up, use one hand to push yourself up slowly and gently. Avoid jerky movements. Don't lean forward suddenly. Sit at the edge of the bed, place both feet on the ground, keep your head upright, and look straight ahead. This allows blood from the lower parts of the body to reach the brain safely. Step 4, take a sip of warm water, if you can keep it nearby. A small bottle of warm water by your bedside can be a great companion. Take one small sip, no need for more, just enough to gently wake up your circulation and digestion. Warm water helps thin the blood, improves flow, and softly jump-starts the stomach. Step 5. Sit quietly for another 30 seconds, then get up. This is the most important moment. Stay seated. Rest both hands on your thighs. Close your eyes if you'd like. Feel your body, your heart rate, your breathing, your clarity. Only when you feel truly steady should you stand up and begin your day. And if you do this each morning, you are giving yourself a safer, steadier, and more alert beginning than most people around you. I call this the practice of slow living. Because slow living isn't about being sluggish. It's about giving your body time, about listening to yourself, and about beginning your day with awareness. And if you're thinking right now, is it really worth it, just 30 seconds like that? I will smile and gently reply, these 30 seconds might save you from 3 months in the hospital. Or 3 years of rehabilitation. I know. You've probably heard many health tips throughout your life. Some you've forgotten. Some you once thought were too small to matter. But if you're still here, still listening with me at this very moment, then I believe you're someone who is choosing to live differently. Not to live longer, but to live more clearly, more fully, and with a deeper understanding of your own body. I've always believed this: youth starts the day by jumping out of bed. But in older age, the day should begin with slowness so we can continue to live. No one wants to live in fear of stroke. No one wants to wake up each day with the feeling of not knowing what's happening inside my body. And no one should have to panic every time they feel a little dizzy or notice some stiffness in their neck. What you need is not fear. What you need is a little knowledge, a little listening, and a little kindness toward yourself each morning. Just 30 seconds. Not to run away from illness, but to walk toward a new day steady, calm, and alive. Because you know what? Slow doesn't mean weak. Slow means you still have time to live. It means you still have the power to choose how you step into each day of your life. And if you feel like you've learned something today, I invite you to share it with someone you care about. Maybe they've felt dizzy in the mornings too. Maybe they're still jumping out of bed too fast without even knowing the risk. And maybe just one small word from you could protect a part of their life they haven't yet seen. If you'd like me to continue walking with you one small thing each week to care for your brain, your balance, your memory, and your health in older age, leave a comment, or hit follow. I'll still be here as a friend, a doctor, and someone who truly believes this: seniors deserve to live clearly, to live healthily, and to be listened to every morning.